Hey everybody, it's the Red Man again with my second attempt at recording this video because the first attempt went absolutely off the rails. I came unglued. And while I got no problem saying mean things on the YouTubes, I basically just raved incoherently for a solid 5 minutes towards the end. It was easier to just re-record than to try to edit that disaster out. It's just, this delves into a level of lunacy I struggle to wrap my head around. And there's nothing I can say to get you ready for the insanity that's going to come. There's no setup. I can't, lead you into it. We're just going to get going, and we'll get there when we get there. As you can see right here, it starts fairly innocuous. Mussolini's great-grandson in Serie A club Lazio under-19 team. The great-grandson of former Italian fascist dictator Benito Mussolini, for those Zoomers listening that that went to public school after 2000, this was World War II, and he was actually fascist, like fascism fascist, not modern day what liberal snowflakes call anybody to the right of Karl Marx fascist. He was a real fascist. The great-grandson of former Italian fascist dictator Benito Mussolini is a right back at Lazio's under-19 team. It was revealed on Tuesday. Romano Floriani Mussolini is the son of European Parliament member Alessandra Mussolini and has made 2 appearances for the club's under-19s. The news came to light following a report Tuesday in the Italian daily Il Messaggero? I don't speak Italian. Asked about it, the 18-year-old's mother told Italian news agency, God, I'm not even going to try. She told some Italian journalist outlet, "It does not concern me. It's his life and on his things, and he does not want doesn't want any interference." Floriani's manager at a youth level, Mauro, not even going to try, spoke positively about his attitude. He is a humble boy who has never complained, not even when he didn't play for 2 years. Bia told La Repubblica, there's a word I think I can pronounce, Repubblica, "I like him. He's not a seasoned player yet, but he looks promising." Asked specifically what blah blah blah, actually that's the end of the article right here. As you can imagine, it seems like a lot of nothing. Some 18-year-old is playing at an under-19 soccer club in Europe. Why is this even a news story? Because his great-grandfather was a cock 80 years ago, and a bunch of left-wing busybodies want to bring it up and make it the kids' problem, because they are, of course, insane. This seems fairly benign, but the fact that they even chose to have a news article on this is insipid. It gets so much worse when we go on to, of course, Twitter, the absolute cancer of the human species, the likes of which has never been seen before in the history of the human species. Whatever the hell Sport Social is, it sounds like an outlet, Premier League podcast. It really just sounds like an outlet designed to crowbar social issues into sports, which is, of course, exactly the opposite of what needs to happen. Social issues need to stay the fuck out of sports. In bizarre news, Benito Mussolini's great-grandson is signed for Lazio's youth team. Should help give the right wing a boost. This is as benign as it gets. It only gets worse from here, and they're still giving a 18-year-old kid who's just trying to play soccer, and I know soccer is just the gayest sport, but still, he just wants to play some soccer, and they're giving him a hard time because 4 generations ago, his great-grandfather was a cock 80 years ago. Just, I'm going to hammer that point into the ground because it bears repeating. These lunatics are making a fuss because 80 years ago, someone distantly related to a right back was a maniac. Next lunatic. Lazio really leaning hard into their fascist ties. Don't want to blame the youth for their ancestor sins, but that's what he's gonna fucking do anyway. But if the kid cared about escaping his great-grandfather's legacy, he'd try to make it at a different club. I'm sorry, Kai. Who in the crikey fuck are you to tell the kid what club he can and can't play with? I don't even know how European soccer works that much. Does he have a choice? Like, the Italian clubs have a kind of youth draft where they call dibs on him? Could he even get on a different club? It sounded like back here he wasn't exactly a superstar. It took him 2 years to get in the game. He might not have had an option. You prick. You smug jackwad. This is liberal left-wing SJW snowflakes, and I keep saying left-wing because it is always the left wing. When I'm not a huge fan of the right wing either, but when they try to get their bullshit into sports, it's just, oh, sing the national anthem before the game, and then we can get on to the game. I don't get a bunch of, Christianity commercials or whatever interrupting my game. I don't get the announcers trying to push social agenda messages onto me during the game in a right-wing fashion. It's always the left wing. They are much more malignant and insane than the pains in the ass on the right wing. But these left-wing SJW snowflake dimwit maniacs are combining their two favorite things to do, which is A, guilt by association, and B, bringing up shit from forever ago that doesn't really have any relevance to the matter at hand in order to destroy someone to make themselves feel better. They are taking stuff from forever ago and then guilt by associationing this 18-year-old kid who's just trying to play soccer. They're taking problems that are not this kid's problems, that are 4 generations removed from being this kid's problems, and trying to make them this kid's problems. But here's the problem. It's not this kid's problem. It's nobody's problem. It hasn't been a problem since 1943. I have these tweets lined up in descending order of sanity. This is the second out of 5. It gets worse. I don't know why it keeps trying to reload the page, but whatever. Austin, guys, y'all, unless you live in, like, Georgia, saying y'all when you talk is one thing. Typing out y'all is the possibly the number one USDA A-choice sign of a complete fucking idiot. Y'all realize how many Italian fascists are going to buy Lazio jerseys with Mussolini on the back. You realize it's probably just going to be mostly trolls trying to bother hysterical pinheads like you. Actually, not so many fascists are going to be buying his jersey because, oh my god, Mussolini. I don't even think fascists like Mussolini by the end. He was kind of incompetent. Benito Mussolini, anyway. Floriani Mussolini, whatever the kid's name is, might be a perfectly competent young lad. I don't know. And maybe I'm making too much out of this. Maybe he's just cracking wise and doesn't really mean anything by it, but it really does come off like complete fucking lunacy, like a football club shouldn't bring in a 18-year-old. For one thing, how many people are buying jerseys from the under-19 team for like a middling defensive player? Like, I don't want to insult the kid, but it apparently struggles to get playing time, or used to. He doesn't sound like a superstar. I don't think people are going to be going out of their way to buy these jerseys. The next one. And he uses the name Mussolini, even though he doesn't have to. He can use his proper father's surname. Nice. I wouldn't accept him on my team. Who the fuck are you? Really? The lunatic narcissism of this, like, oh my god, his last name offends me. He should go get it legally changed. The level of narcissism it takes to say, oh, I wouldn't want him on my team because his great-grandfather was a cock, and he should have to change his last name because his grandfather was a great-grandfather was a tyrant cock. It's pure insanity. I promise you, Mrs. Junkin James here, Nadette, has never actually Jesus Christ, art historian and fangirl at heart. I guarantee you she's never played a sport above a purely, extremely low recreational level. Her opining on how a soccer club should be run is like me opining on how a nuclear power plant should be run. I have no business doing it, and if I were to ever talk to somebody who runs a nuclear power plant, they would be well within their rights to tell me to shut the fuck up and get the fuck out. The scope of the insanity actually gets greater. Just wait for it. Lazio really looking to move beyond their stereotypical political associations. Mussolini's great-grandson in Serie A club Lazio under-19 team. Oh, okay. How many generations removed, how many degrees of separation do you have before it's, or you have to have from a bad guy before you're not cast in the same light to these people? I'll tell you what, there is no way to separate yourself far enough from this shit, because these people, these locusts, left-wing ruinous pests, wake up every day and just choose destruction. They wake up, they roll out of bed like, ooh, what can I destroy today to make myself feel better? Because they have nothing going on in their lives, like this dingus who's an art historian. Congratulations, your life's work amounts to wiki surfing for fucking 15 minutes. Aces. They have nothing going on. They have nothing better to do than to roll up and just try to start a fucking Twitter mob to ruin something. They never benefit anything. They should absolutely be shunned, scorned, derided, mocked, and chased out wherever they're found. They're like termites. You just get rid of them. I've seen a lot of crazy ass takes in my time. My long, sorry ass motherfucking time. But this takes the psycho cake. Valendar. It's just weird there are people running around with the name Mussolini. Hitler's few immediate relatives all refused to have kids so the line could die with them. And it did. Now, this person says it's been well documented that it did not, but the truth value of this idiot's tweet is not terribly relevant. What is what he seems to believe, that if a relative of yours was a psychopath, you shouldn't have kids. Like, if your uncle was a tyrant, you can't have sex. This person is completely fucking insane. And there are more like him. They are an extreme minority, but they're all on Twitter, and they screech like fucking cicadas. So they have a disproportionately high influence on sports, corporations, the culture in general, everything. Because of, basically 12 psychos on Twitter, to borrow a phrase. If they don't have a problem, they will make it up. And then their little defective brains will take up the most ungodly hot take that is not thought through at all. They have a knee-jerk reaction to something and they immediately go to tweet it. They don't think of, to borrow a phrase from economics, that which is unseen, the consequences more than one step after your actions. This implies, what level, if my, uncle, murdered somebody, can I not have kids? If he stole a candy bar from a gas station, can I not have kids? What's the bar here? And how many degrees, if it's my second cousin that was a kind of a dick, am I still allowed to reproduce? Is it just anybody with a last name? If I'm, say, Jack Johnson, and some guy named Johnson that I'm not even actually related to was a fucking prick, am I no longer allowed to, reproduce? Do I gotta change my last name to not be Johnson? I gotta become Anderson? It's purely performative, particularly dim-witted insanity. And I forgot for a second, I believe it was this fool. You can actually see my rather impolite reply to him here. And he says, "Fash, please go." Anybody who disagrees with these people is automatically a fascist. And this brain, I had to log out of Twitter to see this, because this genius replied to me and then blocked me so I couldn't even see the reply. This reaches a level of psychopathic stupidity I can't wrap my head around. I've said it before, a lot of times, like when somebody does something wrong or evil or malicious, I can at least see from their point of view how they thought it might have benefited them. I don't know what this idiot was doing replying directly to me and then blocking me. That just sounds like a complete waste of time. I'm not the type to just block people in general, but if I'm going to block somebody, I just block them and get on with my life. I don't try to get the last word in just so I can see it myself and then block them. That is positively deranged, but not nearly as deranged as saying somebody with the last name as you was an asshole. You can't have kids. This idiot does understand that morality and ethics and generally evil is not genetic. I believe it was about the same time as this. What was his name? The dictator of Spain that came to power after the Civil War, Franco something or other. And Spain was kind of on the sidelines of World War II because they were having their own total shit show internally. It was Franco. I'm going to Google this. This is going to drive me insane. History lesson time. Spain, Franco. Francisco Franco. I believe it was his son that after he died, his son had basically been a little toady for him and he took over. And his son actually, despite this guy, I believe he was an outright explicit fascist, a dictator, his son just came in and was like, dictator's done, let's establish some semblance of voting. Like, I highly doubt the son was perfect, but he wasn't a total cock like Francisco Franco. You know, kids are not their parents, but apparently this idiot doesn't fucking get it. In fact, great-grandkids are not their great-grandparents, ESPN. This didn't need to be a news article at all. You just like to stir shit at an 18-year-old's expense, you evil sons of bitches. I'm going to wrap it up there for the sake of my blood pressure and so that I don't have to re-record this video a third time by getting way too far off the rails. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you'd like to hear me rant and rave about asinine sports issues more and more, feel free to subscribe, or just check back in general. I seem to have a video every, 3 days to a week or so. Until then, y'all have a good time. Take care. I'll see you next time.